Hello, middle-aged gamers. We are back with just me and Adam, the OG crew from middle-aged gaming, but we still miss Antoine and Phil, of course. Today, we're going to be talking about games we are playing, because I miss games as much as I love philosophical topics. I love games, even if I've heard about a game 100 times, and we're going to talk about games that we have talked about privately and publicly as well, so you guys can probably guess what I'm going to be talking about today. But to start things off, let me talk about this show. We're going to talk about what Adam has been playing, discuss that a little bit, talk about what I've been playing, discuss that a little bit. We're going to go into some news items. Today's show might be a little bit short, maybe, you never know, with just us talking. We might run over time, but I've still got work stuff to do, as usual, so we'll see. But Adam, tell us more about Other Side, and for people who do not know what it is.
Yeah, so I've started Other Side as part of my Halloween. I wanted to pick some spooky stories, or spooky games, I should say. And I had bought Other Side a while ago because it was on sale on PSN. And it's an SRPG. I really like SRPG, so I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And it's kind of funny because I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, reading about it. I'm like, I like SRPGs, but this one doesn't really seem like it's for me.
What
but
is an
it's on sale.
SRPG for people?
Very good question. An SRPG is a strategy RPG. So basically, you have all kinds of different RPGs. You have your regular RPGs, which is a role-playing game. And so, you take on the role of a certain character and you go on quests. And basically, traditionally, that was your Dungeons and Dragons style game. And now in video games, they kind of emulate that. So you're on some kind of quest or something like that. And then you have your ARPGs, because RPGs traditionally were turn-based, so you would take your turn, you would do an attack, your enemy would do their turn, they'd do an attack. Then we've moved on to ARPGs, which are probably closer to Legend of Zelda, which is done in real time. The A stands for action RPGs. And now we have SRPGs, which are strategy RPGs, where the combat is done more in a chess-like style. So you have all your different units. Usually they have different capabilities, similar to, in chess, a rook and a knight move differently. Usually in these cases, you have different skills, so you move them around, and then they can, attack. And there's a little more strategy involved in placement and manipulating either some kind of turn order or, a lot of times they'll have things like backstabs and stuff like that, So placement and manipulating this turn order and buffing and debuffing and all that are really, really important.
What are some popular examples of SRPGs that people might know? And the Final Fantasy question, would traditional Final Fantasy combat be considered an SRPG?
Traditional Final Fantasy, no, that was turn-based, so that would not be considered an SRPG, because if you're not moving the characters around, you're just using your attacks, basically. And in that case, you do have some manipulation in some of the games. The original Final Fantasy was just turn-based, but in some of the games later on, they would have the active time meter, or active time battle, where your character basically has a speed stat, and it charges, and when it's fully charged, you can attack. And you can slow characters down and speed them up to affect, who's attacking in what order. So there was some strategy to it, but mostly it's still predominantly a turn-based system where you're thinking, okay, this guy's weak against fire, I'll use a fire attack. This guy's weak against lightning, I'll use a lightning attack. More like Pokemon in a way. Actually, a lot like Pokemon in a way. Pokemon is very much a turn-based RPG. But probably the most popular SRPGs are Final Fantasy Tactics, obviously, as probably the most well-known one, if not one of the most well-known ones. And that, it's not the first, though. We had Tactics Ogre before it. XCOM is another really popular one. I would say probably
talked about Tactics Ogre and XCOM on the show as well.
So I would say XCOM and Final Fantasy Tactics are probably the two best known SRPGs. And if I remember correctly, was it Shadow Warrior has one as well? Isn't there a Shadow Warrior Tactics or something like that?
You mean Shadow Tactics?
Shadow Tactics, yeah. Isn't that a SRPG?
But that's the game that you played, right?
No, isn't that the... Oh, that's a different one. I'm thinking of... What's the one that you played? Didn't you play one that was kind of... I don't remember.
An SRPG? Shadow...
I thought it was like Shadow Warrior.
Oh my god. No, that is not ringing a bell at the moment.
Oh, well. Or I don't know how to pronounce it. Disgaea?
Oh yes, yes.
That's
I don't know
another
how to pronounce it. I always
SRPG.
say Disgaea, but I'm pretty sure
Disgaea.
that's wrong.
Yeah, so these are all SRPGs. Typically, you or Fallout Tactics. There was a Fallout game that was an SRPG. So there's quite a few of them out there, and I typically really enjoy them. So when I saw this one, I was like, okay, that looks interesting. But looking at it, oh, the color palette, they just use black, white, and red. The 3 colors, that's it. And it has roguelike elements. So it's like, oh, so I'm not going to be building up my characters. So on paper, I was looking at it, and I'm like, this doesn't seem like it'll appeal to me. But it is an SRPG, and it is on sale, and it was super cheap. So I was like, all right, I'll pick it up.
How much is super cheap?
It was something like 60 to 80% off. I don't remember exactly how much it was.
Oh my god, that is super cheap.
Yeah, it was because it was a while ago. It was one of the, I believe, double dip sales where sometimes PlayStation will do this thing where they give you a sale, and if you have PlayStation Plus, they'll double the percentage off. So if it's 40% off, if you have PS Plus, it's 80% off. And if it's 30% off, if you have PS Plus, it's 60% off. Yeah, so they'll do something like that. So it was one of those sales. And I could not have been more wrong. I absolutely love this game. It's fantastic. So getting into the details, it's developed by Lightbulb Crew. It is published by Focused Home Interactive. It was released for the PlayStation, the PC, and the Xbox back on July 28th, 2020, and it was available on the Switch on September 10th, 2020. So if you have a PC or console, you can play this game. It is not available, to my knowledge, on mobile. But it probably could run on mobile. It's not very intensive, it seems. So, yeah, like I said, I chose it because I love these SRPGs. I just like the cerebralness of them or whatever. Or maybe it's just nostalgia for Final Fantasy Tactics, but I really enjoy them. And the thing that I was thinking I wouldn't like is part of what I really enjoyed about these things is that you really get to build a character. A lot of your characters typically start off very basic. Maybe they have a class system, and they start off very low level, and as you level them up, you can customize some of their abilities usually. So you can choose, like, oh, I want... in Final Fantasy Tactics, what you could do is you could pick a class, and a class had a set abilities, and then you could pick a subclass, and then you would get access to the abilities of that class. So when you combine these together, you can get some really interesting combinations. For example, if you combine a black mage with a white mage, black mages are attack magic, white mages are heal magic. So you'd have this really powerful caster who's good at both attacking and healing. But at the same time, you could have combined, say, a black mage with a samurai, which seems like a really odd choice. But the samurai would draw spirits out of weapons, and so you could use your magic for long range, and you could draw these spirits out for short range to either, replenish your mana or, stun enemies as they got too close to you, so you'd have time to run away. So there's a lot of choice in these games typically that you can customize and build characters the way you want to kind of build your own team. And in this game, the idea was you would play, and what really worried me was typically there's some mechanic for healing. And in this game, there's no mechanic for healing. Your guys take damage, and it just dwindles down until they die. And when all your guys are gone, you restart at the beginning of the game. So it's kind of got some roguelike elements in there. So a rogue game, or a roguelike, is a game where you play through, you die, that's it. It's kind of an Iron Man thing, where if you're out, you're out, and you have to start over. Whereas roguelite or roguelike are typically these games where usually when you make some progress, you die, you start over, but usually you retrain some kind of progress. Maybe you maintain your levels, or maybe you maintain certain kinds of gear or something like that. So each time you're progressing a little bit further. And so not being able to heal kind of concerned me, except the way that you do heal is you have to sacrifice characters for each other. So if you have, and you can only sacrifice people of equal or higher level. So if I have a level 4 person and I need to heal that level 4 person, I need to sacrifice one of my other level 4 characters or a character of a higher level. But what that'll do is that'll full heal my character, and they'll gain some stat buffs from the character that was sacrificed. So you'll get some advantages. This character will become stronger for it. And as it turns out, there are ways to revive downed characters. You can either do special missions that'll give you a resource that you can do it. or as you progress through the game, you can restart. You can restart with certain character, a certain number of characters revived. And so playing through it, that concern was basically taken out. I was not concerned about that once I started playing the game. It wasn't an issue. It does have some limited classes. It's only really got 4, and you only start with 3. I haven't accessed the 4th one yet, but you start with 4. You can't change a character's class once they start, so whatever a character starts as, they are locked into that class. But you do still get some customization, because when they reach certain levels, they'll have a choice of acquiring one of 2 abilities, so you can choose which ability you want to use. And abilities basically come in 2 varieties. You have abilities that use action points. So your character, every time their turn comes up, they have 100 action points to spend. And you can use your action points to use these abilities. Other abilities you have to sacrifice a % of your life for. And those abilities are typically more powerful or really strong. But again, you can't normally heal. So there's a trade-off there. So there is that strategic element in it. And it's also really interesting because the way they do combat is they have a bar, and the bar goes from 0 to 100. And when your character, they typically start at 50. And then there are ticks, and the game counts down until it's the next character's turn, whether it's you or an enemy. And then they do their action, and then they get reset at 50. So you typically start off with, like I said, 100 action points. You can use 50 action points, and if you use 50 or less, you get reset to the 50 point. Or you can do what's called, I think it's called boost or overdrive or something like that. And if you use over 50 action points, so you can do more, but your character will be reset to 100. So there's that strategy of, okay, I can either do less, but then I'll be able to take my turn sooner, or I can do more, but my character will be pushed back on the line, and that actually can impact, it'll give enemies an opportunity to attack more because, they might get 2 attacks to your 1. So that's really interesting. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting after playing that I didn't really realize is it really gives you an in-depth idea of how the AI in the game works. It'll tell you specifically how each enemy operates. So it'll say, like, this enemy will always attack the closest daughter. Your characters are called daughters. Will always attack the closest daughter. Or this one will always attack the furthest daughter. Or this one will always attack the daughter with the lowest life. And so because of that, as you learn the enemies, you can predict what their next moves are going to be. And you have to so you have to look at this bar, see which enemies are attacking, see what order they're attacking in, and then you'll know how they're going to act. So then it's kind of like a puzzle to figure out, how can I clear this level taking as little damage as possible. And so a lot of times, if you're really good at it, you can actually clear an entire level and never take any damage. But that's what I like about it. Typically it's not so much like a game of chess where you're trying to play against the PC. It's more of a puzzle where you're trying to figure out, how can I get through this with as little damage as possible. So it's a different kind of strategy. And that really appealed to me. And I didn't realize that it was going to be like that. And it's something that I think, looking at reviews and things like that, it's not something that's intuitive. It's not something that you would realize. You really have to play it to kind of see it. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get it. And yeah, and then, the fact that you can resurrect certain characters and stuff, so you're boosting certain characters up and you're using the other ones as kind of fodder to carry the game further and whatnot. And so, yeah.
Hey, didn't you have some video you wanted to show us?
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot the video. I've been doing all this talking, and yeah, I have the video right up here. I was like,
I've seen the video, some video.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I wanted to see your video.
I got too excited talking. I totally forgot to put the video up here. So this is the basic story. This is the intro part. You are somebody known as the mother, and the game's pretty enigmatic in what's going on, but she has some sort of magic power that she's protecting the world from something called the Others. And there was a child, and this child was a male child, which is significant because all your characters in the game are female. So this child was a male. That makes him significant in some way, but then he was abused and mistreated through all these things. I guess there was some sort of plague in the world or something, and people thought that he was the solution to this problem, and they did just the most awful things to this kid to try to solve these issues. And ultimately, he became corrupted, and that allows the others in. The mother tries to defend the world. She fails. She dies. And so now she's basically in this eternal loop of resetting the world. She can summon up her daughters. They will fight on her behalf. And the objective is to kind of not defeat the child, but to break through to him and try to save him. So you're trying to basically kind of cleanse his soul in a way. And that seems to be kind of the goal of the game. I haven't gotten to the end yet, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, if you're going to have to destroy him or what. But that seems to be kind of where they're going with it.
Are your daughters vampires? Because I've heard vampires thrown around on other podcasts.
Not really. I mean, I guess I could see where somebody might say they're vampires, but and it does have that kind of what's that movie? The Underworld kind of, gothic black and white kind of thematics and whatnot. Blood plays a pretty significant role in things. But no, I don't think they're vampires. As far as I can tell, they don't have fangs, and they don't drink blood. It's, you sacrifice one for the other, but when you do that, they kind of sink into a hole of, it looks like a puddle of blood, and the arms come up, and they pull them and, pull them down. And
so it's more like magical than vampire.
Yeah, they're definitely not traditional vampires, that's for sure. But you could argue that they're kind of like, energy vampires in a way. But yeah, no, it's not. You're not a traditional vampire with blood sucking and you can only come out at night. It's definitely not that, no.
All right, so for the people who care about graphics, how's the performance on your PS5? Graphically looks great at 4K.
Oh my god, it looks so good at 4K. But like I said, this game, I wouldn't be surprised if it could run on a mobile, because it's not that graphically intensive. If you see the pictures of the daughters when they're there, they're not super detailed. Everything is kind of there aren't too many textures. Everything is kind of basic. Like here, we're looking at the level. You can see there's the rippling of the water, but most of it is just stone blocks, and these are just solid gray squares basically. So graphically, it's not that intensive, but it works really, really well because it has that minimalist kind of artistic aesthetic to it. So it's definitely not a low graphics thing. It's definitely a purposeful idea, And then I think the fact that they're only really using 3 colors kind of plays into that. It's supposed to be kind of this ethereal dreamscape in a way. So things aren't, so everything's kind of dampened and whatnot. So, but yeah, on the PS4, it runs absolutely fine.
PS4, PS5.
Sorry, PS5. I'm sure it runs fine on the PS4 as well. I'm running the PS4 version of the game. There is no PS5 version of the game. Okay. But on PS5, it runs perfectly well. The only things, I've only had one glitch so far, and that was there's a type of level where you need to defeat enemies, and each enemy you defeat gives you a number of blocks. And if you can get the set number of blocks you need, the daughter will jump out. So you're kind of farming experience. And I beat the level, and I had all my daughters out except for one. And so she just needed to kill one more enemy, but no more enemies were spawning. And so I was just running around this level turn after turn after turn, and there's nothing I can do to finish it. And so I had to just, back out and basically say I give up on this level. And it ultimately ended up killing the daughter, if she dies if she doesn't complete the level. So I had to sacrifice my daughter to keep the game going. That's the only glitch I've had so far. I have noticed that there are some, I don't know if they're bugs or whatnot. Like, for example, you can always tell if your character is going to land a finishing blow, because there's always a slight pause between when they are about to attack and when they actually attack. Normally you hit attack and they just straight up attack. But if you hit attack, there's about a half-second pause, and then they attack. Okay, that enemy's dead. So I don't know what's going on there. That might be I don't think that was done on purpose. I think that's probably just some sort of calculation, the game thinking like, okay, I'm gonna have to load the death animation or something like that. But it's very subtle, but in a way, you kind of look forward to that little gap because you're like, oh great, I beat the level. Okay, I know I'm done. So it's not a huge deal, but yeah, it looks great
Okay.
despite three colors.
Next question. I mean, I know a lot of people, again, for other podcasts that I listen to, they've said like turn-based strategy games or this sort of like SRPGs, as you call them, playing them with a PS5 controller kind of, they're not great. Did you have any problems with that? Because, I mean, they feel like this kind of game is more intuitive with the mouse and keyboard.
I think that is the whole Macs are more user friendly than PCs argument. I think it's just whatever you start off on, then that's more comfortable for you. Like I said, I've been playing SRPGs. I played Final Fantasy Tactics. I've played, the Disgaea series, and I've always played them on console. So for me, this is intuitive. This is my native language, so to speak. And
so no UI issues. No
I've had no UI issues or anything like that.
irritations.
No.
Oh, that's
I
good.
could see where somebody who's used to a mouse and keyboard and they can click, I want to go here, or you just click on the menu and it opens up. I could see where somebody who's used to that, and then now they have to navigate and they have to hit like the R1s and the L2s and use the D-pad and whatnot. I could see where somebody would say like, oh, this doesn't feel intuitive at all. But if you're somebody that's been playing on consoles, this is going to feel perfectly intuitive and natural.
Nice. All right. So, the question I always ask when we talk about stuff like this, hours played so far?
Not that many. Basically, I have not played this game outside of the stream. I've been doing everything on stream because I was enjoying it. I thought other people would enjoy it, and I was playing Bloodborne, and that one definitely seemed like it needed more grinding to kind of level up and whatnot. So I was playing that one off stream when I had the time, and right now I'm playing Final Fantasy 14 off stream. So whatever you've seen me play, that's exactly the number I've played. So let's see, that is how many weeks were there in October? 4, 5?
5, I think.
5 weeks in October, and we've had 3 weeks so far. So that's 8 weeks at about maybe. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 3. Let's say 2.5 hours over 8 weeks. So that would be what?
16,
16
24
plus 8,
hours?
24 hours, give or take, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty decent.
And I'm about halfway
Room
through.
for improvement for other side too. What would you suggest?
Room for improvement. Oh, that would be a tough one. Because it is a very simple game. So it's one of those things where, like, it'd be interesting to see more classes and whatnot. But at the same time, I feel like because it works so well on such a simple level, complicating it might actually hurt it more than help it. So, yeah, I can't really think of any ways to improve it off the top of my head. Maybe just a few, bug fixes, like for instance, the one where enemies stopped spawning so I couldn't complete a level, that sort of thing. I think that would improve it. One thing I do like about it is that I play it on normal mode, but you can play it on an easier mode where your daughters will heal half of their life every day in the game. So, maybe if there was... So right now there's only 2 modes that you can play in. Maybe if there was another mode where they full heal every day for people who are, maybe people like you who don't want to spend so much time in the game and just want to enjoy the story, so it's like just a pure story mode. Maybe something like that could improve it for people. Because it is one of those things where, it's supposed to be punishing in a way. And that's part of the aesthetic. But I understand for people who, want to go through time, I could see a lot of people saying, I don't even want to touch it because on the surface level it looks like this. So I think something like that.
I was sort of like vacillating between yes, oh, the way Adam's describing it's cool, and then no, oh my god, I don't like to lose characters in games. And,
yeah.
We've talked about this before. I've like saved scum on every XCOM I've ever played, and I'll redo particular like moment in time as many times as it takes for me to that person not to die. And I've seen like there's a new Polish game. It's in open beta, Broken World, or Broken. It's not Broken Sword, of course, but and they have like an interesting thing there where they have the regular game, they have a survival mode and they have a roguelite mode.
Okay.
So I'd like to play this in like a regular mode, like just like you suggested, where none of this roguelite stuff. Because I've tried roguelites over the years, and I kickstarted one, and that game was absolutely. I kickstarted because of the art, absolutely beautiful. But the roguelike elements, I think I ended up playing it for all of 6 hours. I'm like, yeah, this. I feel like I need some rewards in my life, and I get that from gaming. And so in a roguelite, I feel like, yes, I'm about to get it, and oh, sorry, we're gonna take it away. Start again.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely that kind of element. That they do give you some rewards. One thing is for each mission you complete, you get what are called remembrances, and each time you restart, you can expend your remembrances for certain perks. Like every time you generate a new daughter, she automatically starts at level 4 rather than level 1, or you do 20% extra damage against certain enemies, or you get more. They call it vitae, which is a resource you can use to buff attacks and stuff like that. So you can, so each time you restart, you can use remembrances to get these and start over with certain buffs. And one thing that I thought the remembrances were, when you start over, you know, you, however many you've earned, that's how many you can spend. But what it is it's actually every time you earn remembrances, it increases your pool of remembrances, and every time you start over, you start off with a full thing of remembrances. So now I'm on cycle 10 or something like that, and I have enough remembrances that I can buy every single perk. So
See,
uh
that's cool. I like that
yeah.
part.
So yeah, so every time you start over, you're stronger. You can skip if you've beaten a chapter, you can skip straight to the most recent. You can skip to whichever chapter you want that you've already beaten. So you don't have to start from the beginning every single time. You can just start from the most recent chapter. You can start off with your characters at level 7 rather than level 1. So yeah, there is a reward to it, but there's patience involved. So if you're the kind of person who just wants to get through the game, then you know that's not going to be very appealing.
No. See, and this is where I think this has stepped it up. I've played two roguelikes, maybe more. So that's the card game one that I kickstarted, and this one, like just like every roguelite, is you get that extra bonus every time you die. But I feel like a lot of these roguelites, like they just sort of dwindle it out, or give it to you in very small chunks, and for me that doesn't work. But this sounds like you get to a point where you have everything and you're like strong enough. That's cool. Like another game I played was Everspace, and Everspace was like, after you die the first time, plus 2% cannon damage. Yay.
No, this is like 20% damage against cult units, 20% damage against nightmare units. They're pretty
So I know,
significant buffs.
yeah. See, I'm cool with significant buffs. I'm not cool with games that, like, I know some people, for them, like, oh, cool, I'm gonna do this again and again and again and again and then build up that bonus stuff. But for me, I need that. Say, okay, after this session, this is my reward, and it's significant enough so that session two makes me feel stronger, more powerful.
Yeah. And they'll tell you can go to the remembrances. It won't tell you what remembrances that you don't have. It won't tell you what they are. But if you highlight them, it will tell you how to unlock them, so you can kind of get an idea of like, oh, okay, I have to beat this level, or I have to defeat this many enemies. So if you had a goal, you could kind of work towards it. Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah. Highly recommend. So what about your game?
My game, of course, is Hearthstone. Yes. Hearthstone released a new mode called Hearthstone Mercenaries. Funnily enough, Adam was talking about speed and Final Fantasy, and the new mode involves speed and a sort of a rock paper scissors mechanic as well. So basically, what Hearthstone Mercenaries is, it is a mode where you have characters, or like mercenaries, or like people in a typical RPG. There's protectors, casters, and there's another class that I can't quite remember. But there's three classes, three kinds of guys, and within that you have all the famous World of Warcraft characters. Plus, they've added Diablo as well in there. So I would imagine that is promotion for when Diablo 4 comes out next year. Oh, but maybe it's not next year. I think it's 2023. But Diablo's in there, and that's really cool. And Diablo's looks pretty cool. So in Hearthstone Mercenaries, you're going to see this in the video at the moment. You have a party of 6 people, and you're doing PvE or PvP missions. A lot of people do PvP, of course, because it's just like every other Hearthstone mode. You know, you try to get to the top ranks. And when this was coming out, people were really excited because, you know, people always looking for more modes to sort of Blizzard was looking for modes to keep people in Hearthstone. So right now in Hearthstone, you have Hearthstone Standard, which is the competitive format. You have Hearthstone Wild, which is what a lot of people play now. You have Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is the auto chess format. You have Arena, you have Duels, you have Tavern Brawl. So there's a lot of stuff to keep people in the ecosystem. Now with Duels, I ordered the basic pack, which was like $20 before it released, and it was kind of cool. So what? Let's go back because I'm like skipping all over the place in this conversation. So how Duels works is, if I was playing against Adam, Adam would choose. I would have a pool of 6 characters. I would have a pool of 6 characters. Adam would choose 3 characters to start, and I don't know what he's gonna choose. And I would choose 3 characters to start, and he doesn't know what I'm gonna choose. And then we just click ready. Our characters deploy on the field. Now Adam needs to choose 3 things that his characters are going to do. So each character does one thing. So maybe he's going to attack my guy on the far right. His middle guy's going to attack my guy on the far left, and his other guy's going to attack my guy on the far left. And then I'm going to choose my characters, what they're going to do. And you're about to see this in the video as well, but this is a PvE example. And then we both click ready, and then we see what happens. Now, the way things happen is based on speed. So speeds range from like 3 to 9. I haven't seen anything under 3 or over 9 in the, Jesus, must be more than 20 hours I've played this already. And so the guy with the lowest speed goes first, and the guy with the highest speed, of course, goes last. And as things happen, characters take damage. If your characters die, they're just out. There's no way of reviving them. They're just game over. So the objective of Mercenaries is, if I was playing against Adam, I had to have to kill all 6 of his characters. Now, if you're looking at the video right now, you can see Alex Straza is fighting this green ant or treant. I forgot what it's called in World of Warcraft.
Watch it. I forget. Guardians? I forget.
So basically, like red
Ancients.
does double damage against, huh?
Ancients. They're called ancients.
Ancients, yes. Red does double damage against green, and green does double damage against blue, and blue does double damage against red. So that is another layer of strategy on top of that. But what happens is that guys also combo off each other. So you have the combo. Adam will probably know Antonidas, Baron Geddon, Ragnaros, the Fire Lord. These 3 guys are all fire. So when you're using them, and their abilities sort of work off of each other. So like Baron Geddon has an ability, is like if fire combo, deal more damage. So there's a lot of synergies amongst characters as well. So like a Lady Anaconda, I have no idea who she is in World of Warcraft lore. There's King Crush, there's King Mukla, and King Mukla gives you an advantage so that when King Crush attacks, he can be immune, so he doesn't take any damage that turn. Lady Anaconda, when she heals beasts, she gives them double the healing. And that's basically how it works. Now, I've had lots of fun with this. The thing I have not liked is that despite paying $20, despite buying the launch bundle for $5, and I think I bought another bundle, and I bought one for my younger brother as well, I still have not got all the mercenaries, which is kind of cool because I would imagine once I get all the mercenaries, I will stop playing this forever. Now, going back again as well, as for mercenaries, you've got to level them up to level 30. And then when they're up to level 30, you have to level each of their abilities. Each of them have 3 abilities. And those require coins, which is what you get for PvE or PvP experience. Now, each of the mercenaries has gear, and you can only use 1 gear item per time. You also have to level up that gear as well, which requires coins. So there's a lot of grinding going in there. You get up to 6 quests, let's say 5 quests a day, 6 quests if you've already done the story. There's tons of PvE missions as well. You go into Blackrock Mountain. Blackrock Mountain has 9 missions, and they are freaking hard. I have not defeated them. I don't have the right combination of characters to defeat them yet. Um, so that's pretty much it. It's a really cool game, a mobile game. If you're at work, if you're on the train, you can play one sort of run. So like if you click on a mission, you're going to fight this guy, and in this guy it's like a typical roguelike structured like Slay the Spire, in the sense that you have like 6 missions until you hit the boss. So you're on the train, you can play one mission, maybe takes you 5 minutes in the beginning, get off the train, go to your work, whatever. And then if you're on a longer session, you could do a single run, get the reward, and be done. So it's a very suitable game for me. I play at lunch. I play longer times, maybe in the evenings. Very, very cool. Questions, Adam, since I've been talking far too long.
Oh no, it's fine. So you're not using cards like you typically do in
You are
Hearthstone,
using
you?
cards because your characters are represented by cards.
Okay, but I mean, you don't have like like you're not drawing like so many, and you have a hand and not like that.
No.
Okay.
So it's more like a grindy RPG. A famous YouTuber, Regis Kilburn, he complained about that because there is a lot of grinding. But another guy, Crian, he was like, no, this is cool. He enjoyed it. He put like 7-8 hours a day when it first came out and like got everything.
Everything
He got everything, yeah.
in 8 hours. Okay, and you've been playing
But,
20.
but I mean, he played like because he's a full-time streamer, so he just streamed this for hours and hours, grinding and getting heroes, and that's how he finished. He got everything.
Okay, but you've played all over 8 hours, and you said you haven't gotten everything, right?
But he played 8 hours a day for like a good 2 weeks.
Okay. I thought 8 hours, and he got it in one day. Okay. I
No,
see
no,
what
no,
you're
no.
saying.
This is a game I would say, even if you bought the pre-order $50 pack, you would, because they also like this alternative portrait art and stuff as well. So when you buy a pack, like in Hearthstone, right, you'd get 5 cards. In this, you have a chance to get a hero, not guaranteed, but you're always going to get a portrait or a hero, and you get coins for other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do portraits change anything, or they're just for the look?
Just for aesthetics. So like you get some cool pictures of like King Crush as the baby, like a baby little T-Rex. Looks really, really cute. I want that portrait actually.
Okay, so they're skins, basically.
Yeah. And you get a picture of Carol Rome and Cornelius Rome, and in each different postures, and some look really cool, like a female Thor smashing stuff.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. This looks significantly different than when I think of Hearthstone with, drawing cards, and there's that kind of what was it, RNG element of it, like, oh, did I get the cards that I need or whatever. But this is there's more. This is more about kind of strategizing and thinking, how can I best utilize what I already have, right? But then you do have cards here. So what are these cards? More characters?
Those are characters, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So those are the guys I chose for the battle, and I've made them into a lot of, like, for this video, you're not seeing complementary teams. Like in this particular video, the only teams are Gruff, Gruntotem, and Brukan are the complementary because they're all in like nature magic, and so they work off each other. Thrall also has one nature spell, but they're like big combos of like 3. Usually a combo is like 3 characters, and those are the ones that like really like can do really well in PvP and exceptionally like steamroll everything in PvE.
Okay. So how do combos work exactly?
So a combo will be like a speed thing where, and I mentioned this with the fire guys. So in the one that you're seeing right now is Brukan will throw a spell. It's called like Muddy Slipping or Muddy Slopping. 4 speed. He'll hit a guy for like 8 to 12 damage. Then Gruff Gruntotem hits the same guy again for nature damage, and he only is able to hit this guy 2 or 3 times if somebody else did a nature spell first. So if he didn't, he just hit him 1 time. Because of nature, he does 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
That's how combos work. And the fire damage is Antonidas shoots a fireball. Baron, instead of doing 4 damage, does 8 damage to all enemies because it's a fire spell.
All right. And the speed just determines turn order, right?
Yes, exactly. Okay. And then if 2 characters have the same speed, whether on your side or the opponent's side, it's a dice roll to see who goes first.
Okay, so they have the same speed. On one turn, you might go first. On another turn, they might go first.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So where does it tell you the speed? Because I'm looking at these cards and the characters, and I'm not seeing where the speed is.
You probably, because I'm watching a video right now. I'm gonna see if it will show us the speed. Yeah, so you'll see the speed under the number. It says 6 there when I just chose Thrall, and 5 there, right? And this has 7 there, so it shows the speed under the ability.
Yes. Oh, so it's not the character speed; it's the ability speed.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So
yes.
so all right. So you can choose like, do I want a fast attack or do I want a slower attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
So some abilities have like a really low speed, some have a really, really high speed, and some the speed doesn't quite make sense, but it's just the way it is.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. All right. And you can still do things like healing and all that?
Yes, some characters have healing abilities, like Lady Anacondra. A bunch of the Murlocs have healing abilities as well. So yeah, my brother, who I bought the one of the launch packs for, he got like all the Murloc characters in one go, which I thought was like pretty impressive. and so like all the Murlocs have Murloc synergy together. One of the guys is like, if he attacks a character, his ability is that all other Murlocs attack the same character. So instead of one character being attacked, you're going to be getting 3 guys all attacking the same character.
All right. That's how they work.
Yeah,
cool. Those things are annoying.
I mean, so to sum up everything, really, really cool, really, really fun. If you're spending like with a lot of mobile games these days, if you're spending a lot of time on this, more than an hour a session, you're probably going to find yourself being irritated by the grind, being irritated by the lack of getting the coins or tokens for the particular character you want. If you're doing it like me, like the usual hour a day, maybe longer, you're fine. I'd say probably you're going to hit a wall at about 2 hours or so, depending how much you play, how much you do PvE or PvP. So fantastic mode. I hope Blizzard keeps adding to it despite its sort of like somewhat lukewarm reception. A lot of Hearthstone streamers played it, are not playing it anymore just because it's not engaging streaming content, not like Battlegrounds or like Standard. So I hope maybe there's a change in the way the game works, or there's some way to make it more interesting for streaming. But for me, really, really cool. Battlefield is coming out this week Friday, though, so I will probably be playing that instead.
All right. Is this a new mode or
Battlefield?
Yeah.
Oh no, the new Battlefield 2042 is out this week Friday.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes.
The game Battlefield, not Hearthstone Battlefield. Okay.
Yes. No. The game Battlefield. Yes. I'm gonna see if old people can still play Battlefield.
Of course they can.
Well, and still enjoy it, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. So we got a little bit of time left. You want to hop into the news, or?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. So you want to go first?
I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I'll pick one news that you didn't have. So the PlayStation 5 firmware has been cracked. Not entirely to the point where we can now, homebrew get things. But yeah, they think they got I don't remember the exact thing that they had. But yeah, that basically the first part of the root codes, I think they were called, had been cracked. And so this may open up possible modification of the PS5 to allow it to run things like Linux. But on the other hand, it could also possibly allow for pirated games in the future. We're not quite there yet, but this is the first step to getting to that point. So this happened, I guess, either last week or this week. It was announced that these guys had gotten through to these root codes. They finally discovered them all. So yeah, that's pretty big news. It was interesting because back in the day, the PS2 and the PS3 could run Linux. I think the PS2 could run Linux. But the PS3 could definitely run Linux, and people were, putting them all together to run in parallel for building, cheap supercomputers and whatnot. But recently, Sony has decided not to allow that option on their systems, and well, now it looks like they may not have an option on not allowing that. So Yeah, interesting news.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I wasn't surprised by this. I'm sure you saw the headlines like earlier this year, with the boom of cryptocurrency mining. People were using PlayStation 4s, and I remember some Chinese guys had started using PlayStation 5s to mine cryptocurrency as well. So,
Okay.
I mean, if you can install Linux, of course, you can mine crypto, and the PS5 is a powerhouse. So, why not?
And it's basically the price of a good GPU. So
Exactly. I mean, it's got a fantastic GPU inside. I mean, the GPU inside it would probably cost you a good $500 on its own.
yeah, yeah. I remember the what were like the 380s uh were basically the same price as a PS5, weren't they?
Yes,
And the
yes, yes.
390s were more expensive.
Not even to mention the CPU inside it as well. The CPU inside it as well, like Taiwanese dollars, is about 8K Taiwan dollars.
I bet.
So I mean, that's why Sony has to charge $70 a game to earn some money back.
Well, I mean, it's not just. I don't think Sony is the one that's. I mean, obviously they're the ones making the choice, but I think most of that choice has to do with just the cost of development. But
Oh, that's
maybe
true
part
as
of it's
well.
the this yeah. All right,
Sony's
but that's all I had to say about that was
cool. Let's go on to the next story.
All right, which one?
Let's talk about real estate. Actually, I'm looking forward to get your feedback on that real estate and gaming. Um, so, this article, which I should probably be looking at while I'm talking about it, is how the evolution of gaming and esports will impact real estate. I think this is a really, really cool topic as well because with COVID not likely to disappear and us, working from home or living at home and working and people, of course, you're an esports player, you're training from home. A lot of the guys I watch on YouTube and Twitch and stuff, I mean, they train from home now, right? Because you can't, in certain countries, right, COVID is still ongoing, there are breakthrough cases. So this article talks about how the future of esports is changing the way people buy houses or the kind of house you buy or the way you redecorate your space. So, I mean, what do you think, Adam? I mean, if you were to make your house a better gaming space, what would you do?
I would try to upgrade the internet capability, the Ethernet, as good as possible. That would be it for me. Just make sure I
Oh,
have the
wait,
best possible
you wouldn't
Ethernet.
change the structure like in that particular room. Don't you have a bed or a couch or something like that?
I have a small couch. It's
Yeah.
part of an. It's part of a. It's kind of like a bed. What it is we had one of those L-shaped couches,
Yes. Oh,
and
you moved one part of the L.
I moved. Yeah, I moved the long part into here because we didn't
Okay.
have a space to put it, so I put it in here. So it's kind of like a short bed in a way. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as for esports, like I get the idea that it could change real estate in the sense that you want a place that's going to have good broadband, or good 5G. You're going to want a place that's going to have a good connection. So certain cities that have those kinds of internet or areas that have the faster internet are going to be very lucrative for these people. But as far as the internal space of a room, I mean, for me personally, I don't know if I don't know. Are you trying to get some sort of like feng shui zen thing going on, or
No, I'm thinking like you look at this. If I turned off my fake picture right now, you see, this is not a lot of space. Like that's one of the things I want to do for work, and that would benefit the podcast as well. Is and Adam and I talked about this earlier. Is I have a nice green screen that I ordered from Amazon. It works well. It looks nice. I can't put it up because I have this gigantic fan, which you guys can see flickering in and out of existence behind me. And if I put the green screen up behind me, uh, it blocks the fan, so I will get hot in June, pretty much from April, May, June, July, August, September in Taiwan. So I'd have to put the fan in another way. Then I'd need like a key light because one of the things with the green screen I found is I need much brighter lighting than what I actually have for my green screen. So I'd need like a key light on this side. Ideally, I'd like. So what I imagine is as a streamer or an esports player, right? You need a space for if you're training for hours and hours on end, right, playing games, you need snacks and other stuff close to you. You need space to have like a cool streaming setup for Twitch. Like Adam has that cool shelf behind him, right? I
nothing
have a
fancy?
shelf, but it's filled with clothes and lots of packets for board games that I had to take out of their boxes because I don't have space in this room. Um, So I mean, that's what I'm saying is I think if you're working from home or if you're esports playing games from home, you do need to create that ideal background that sort of adds on to the thing that people like. I watch Adam Gray because he has cool Gundams and a cloud statue behind him, and he has a cool green screen as well. So
Okay.
when he streams, I get to see his face in the top right hand corner. When he does the podcast, I get to see all his cool toys and his gigantic Halloween breaking thingy-majiggy. I don't know. I forgot what that is called
Oh,
again.
that's a Tetsubo. I also have a Plague Doctor mask right there behind my head.
Exactly, exactly. Right. Like you have the typical very cool, Twitch streamer background.
I don't have the neon
Um,
lights.
yeah, exactly, exactly. That's what I'm saying is that if you and Maggie were to, buy another house, right, and we became full-time streamers, right, you'd have to create this. You need a larger workspace that say, hey, wife, this is the dedicated space for XYZ, and you have to plan that in your budget when you're looking for a house.
Okay, now I see what you're saying now. Now this is more, see, I was taking it from the esports side. And I was like, if you're doing esports, why does it matter? But if you're doing streaming, yeah, I get it. Because you want that studio space. But for esports, if nobody's looking at you, you're just playing. I don't, you just put whatever you want in the room. But this is one thing is Maggie's always wanted to move to the east coast of Taiwan, Taidong or something like that. And we were talking about if we did that, you could maybe make a what do they call them? A prefab house using the shipping containers.
Yes, yes.
And I was telling her if we did that, I would love to have just one room, a fairly large room, maybe just one container. And what I would do is I would dedicate maybe half the space to kind of like a studio. So what I'd probably do is I would probably just paint a wall green, instead of having to use the green screen. I'd probably just paint an entire wall
That
green.
would save so much space.
Yeah, yeah. So just do that, and then, or maybe, or I could still use my green screen that I have, but do that. Put up something like this. Maybe organize it a little bit better. Put on the neon lights or whatever. Make it look cool. Make sure it's got the good internet setup. But then also because she dances, so sometimes she'll either do classes, or she will, or she'll film herself, and put them up on Facebook or whatever. So I was saying is we do this. Half the room I'll put little my studio, and the other half of the room we'll just leave as an open floor. So all you have to do is move the the webcam 180 degrees the other direction. She can film herself. She has her little dance studio space, so it's kind of a multi-purpose
Really
space
cool.
like that. And then the other thing I would really consider doing is the lighting and soundproofing. Soundproofing for me would be the really big one. So that way, I'm not disturbing neighbors or something like that. But also, like, for example, she always sleeps in the morning. And if I, when we were in pandemic time, I would come down here and I would be doing my thing in here, and she would be in the main room. But, so it's not me, so if you notice, if you watch those memes, I was always talking a little bit quieter. I wasn't so animated, because I didn't want to disturb her, right? So I would do soundproofing so I can just speak in a normal voice and that sort of thing. And then another thing I have sometimes here with trouble is the lighting, because I do have a window right here in front of me, and I'm getting natural sunlight in from there. But because the houses are so close together, if the sun's at not a great angle, I'm lit really well, but my background can be really dark. So sometimes if I have the green screen up, I always have to turn on the overhead light, and then sometimes the lighting is shifting around as the sun moves. So I would probably try to figure out, maybe get some sun blocking curtains or something like that, and then get some good lighting set up. Maybe put some lighting on the floor in front of the green screen or something like that to make sure that it's all well lit. So yeah, I could definitely see something like that where you want a good space. And I know that what I've seen from a lot of streamers now, the big ones, they live in these kind of houses with other streamers, and they have usually like that one room that's kind of dedicated to streaming. So they have a room where they do paint the walls, they decorate it, or they paint the walls green. Or I've seen I've seen like Angry Joe, they showed his house one time, and it's him and it's like 4 other guys, and they're all streamers, but then they took a room and they painted the room green so they can kind of like film themselves in front of the screen and do the animations that they have in the backgrounds and whatnot. So I could definitely see, yeah, that kind of wanting a certain studio space.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, man. That will be it for today, I would imagine.
Yeah, unless you, I mean, there was some other news, but I know you try to get off it on time, so.
Yes, I do. I'm gonna go down and probably pick up my lunch. Uh, what are you streaming this week?
This week, what I've been streaming currently is Final Fantasy 14 and Other Side. Because we were considering what getting letting the restream go. So I was kind of just
Yes.
counting down the clock. I wasn't sure if I wanted to get invested in something else, and then our restream goes down and we don't stream quite as much. So I was kind of running down the clock. But what I was considering was maybe trying. It looked kind of interesting. On PlayStation Plus this week, the free game is. Let me check. I don't remember exactly, but it was. What's the name of that game? There's the one First Class Troubles. First Class Trouble, which looks kind of interesting. I was thinking about maybe trying that one out. That's a game where you create your own character, but then you're in this kind of futuristic, 1950s. It seems to be situation. But what happens is it's kind of like an Among Us game, but the thing is that you have real people and then you have these androids that are designed to look like people, and the people are trying to figure out who the androids are so they can, I guess, disable them, and the androids are killing off the people. So it seemed like it would be an interesting game to try. I haven't broken into it. I was thinking about it, but then I was kind of debating whether I wanted to invest in getting into something for the sake of streaming, or if it was just kind of like, well, because I know we're kind of trying to phase away from that. So I was debating whether I should get invested in it or not. So
I mean, like just because restream goes down doesn't mean you can't stream. It just
I
you
know it just
stream
means I
to a
can't
single
triple stream,
destination.
which is disappointing.
I mean, dude, if you want to keep triple streaming, that's something we can talk about. I'm not opposed to it as well.
Yeah,
I
well,
just
we'll
think
see.
it just saves your money per month.
I pay by the year.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It saves your once off payment.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see. So I'll consider it. It did seem interesting. I might check it out. So
Cool.
yeah. Otherwise, I've been playing. Been trying to finish Greedfall on my own, but not done with that yet. So
I remember hearing it's like a 80 to 100 hour game.
pretty long. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not bad. It's the story's okay. It's I just feel like the combat's a little bit simple. It's kind of like Witcher in that sense, I think, where the combat. I think Witcher was a little bit more in depth because you had the different magic spells and stuff like that. But once you kind of got into it, it's basically melee attack, melee attack, melee attack, melee attack, fire. So
I like simple combat like that.
yeah, I like typically the more. Maybe it's part of the reason why I like Srpgs, but I like the kind of combat where it's a little more in depth, like what do you call it? Ghost of Tsushima or something like that, where you have
Oh,
kind of the
yes.
blocking and the
Yes.
parrying and
Oh, that makes me frustrated. You make one mistake and smash, and you're dead.
yeah. I played Bloodborne and now I'm kind of considering, Elden Ring, should I do it or not? I'm on the fence. I want to, but I'm like, but do I really want
I
to?
love the look of Elden Ring, but I'm like, no. I watched like the fight with a big dragon. I'm like, oh my god, this just looks really cool, but too difficult and maybe a little bit irritating.
Yeah, you have to have pretty good quick reaction time. Yeah, that was the thing is I'm like, okay, I did really enjoy Bloodborne, but it's kind of like, but do I want to get into another one right away? I don't know. So we'll see about that. That comes out February. I think late February. I think it comes out a couple weeks after Horizon Forbidden West, so I'll definitely not get it on release. Because I'll be preoccupied. And that was another thing I was debating is I was thinking maybe in December I'll break out Horizon Zero Dawn and do a kind of a quick playthrough of that again
Well, that would be cool
to get
'cause
ready for Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah.
I want to go back to playing that, but it didn't capture me when I started playing it on PC.
Yeah, so I was thinking about just doing a new game plus because I've got all the stuff unlocked and whatnot, and just doing a kind of a quick just run through. And I was thinking I'll just do it on the stream. So I was trying to debate how long should it take me to beat this game, and I was thinking, okay, maybe if I just start in December, that'll give me 2 months where I'm doing it once a week. So that'll give me about 10 weeks to finish the game, or 10 streams to finish the game, and I think I should be able to do that. So I'll probably break that one out in December and do that. So
Cool.
yeah.
That's something for people to look forward to.
Yeah,
And maybe then we'll continue streaming. Why not?
exactly.
All right. And I just realized I did not record on Zencaster, so I'll be pulling the audio from the video again.
That's okay.
But it's cool. I get to use my fancy little video software, audio software. So I'm looking forward to that.
There have been so many times where I don't click the record button on Zencaster. It's disturbing.
Cool, man. Then we will chat online. Oh, I mean, you should probably end off the stream first.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you can do that as well. So I was just gonna say, thanks all for watching. If you have been watching this, we're more than happy to have Crian back. Hopefully, he'll be able to stick around for a while.
Me too. I'd like to stick back because it is really cool to talk about this stuff. Otherwise, I don't get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. And Antoine should definitely be back next week, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think his folks aren't there for a huge amount of time.
All right. And Phil, I'm not quite sure what's going on with Phil. He's been kind of MIA for a while. I know he hasn't been feeling well, but I don't know too much beyond that.
Have you seen him at school?
No, I don't have the same hours as him.
Oh, okay. So that is strange. Yeah, I haven't seen him.
I know he was having some headaches and was having some other issues. So I'm not quite sure. Hopefully he's okay. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to him directly. Just talk to him through other people who have talked to him.
Yeah, we've tagged him online a few times, but he hasn't. I think he responds like once every week. So maybe it is just he's just not feeling great.
Yeah, I think he's just having maybe a flu or something like that. So not COVID though.
Yeah, definitely
all right.
not.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna leave you guys. We had some extra news, but that's okay. We can cover it next week. It'll still be relevant. And yeah, and we'll see you all again soon, hopefully. So have a lovely week.
Bye.